Programs will not be seen at this time so that we may bring you live and in color the U.S. Open Golf Tournament.
"40 seconds ago, Tony Jacklin had this 25-footer for a birdie 3 at the par 4 ninth hole. And that puts him 5 shots into the lead.
Which is where the pin is. It's the most difficult hole, a deceiving.
At the conclusion of the third round of the United States Open, this was the placement of the top contenders. The leader was 25-year-old Tony Jacklin, the reigning British Open champion, who, if victorious here, would be the first British professional golfer to win the United States Open in 50 years. Here's one of his pursuers, first Dave Hill, now Gabe Brewer, 38-year-old former Masters champion. Another pursuer is veteran Julius Boros, twice United States Open champion, former PGA champion, enduring, relaxed, one of the great players on the tour, a man for all seasons. And with the concluding round in progress on a sunny, breezy afternoon, with Tony Jacklin just making the birdie 3 at the ninth hole, he leads by 4 shots over Dave Hill. From the Hazeltine National Golf Club in Chaska, Minnesota, it's the final round of the 70th United States Open Golf Championship. This ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Lincoln National Life Insurance Company. Get complete financial planning for life, health, accident, annuities, group, and pensions, all under the Lincoln hat. By Chevrolet. Chevrolet is on the move with great new models for 1970, including the exciting cars in your Chevrolet dealer's sports department. And by Sears Tire and Auto Centers, for tires you drive with confidence. We look at the leaderboard again, live and in color, as Tony Jacklin had birdied the 5th hole and then came through with a beautiful 25-footer at the 9th hole moments ago to regain a 4-shot lead over Dave Hill. Jacklin today also bogeyed the 7th and 8th holes, while Hill started right off on the 1st hole with a birdie and then bogeyed the 4th. Bob Lund has moved up. He started out 3 under today, and as you see, is 1 under, so he's 2 under on the round this afternoon. A huge crowd on hand, and we're glad that you have joined us here in Chaska, Minnesota, and we're glad that the Open champion of 1939 is on the scene, too. Byron?
Thank you very much, Chris. You know, everybody that wins a tournament always needs one key shot or one key putt in the round to really get them going. And Tony had just got through bogeying 7 and 8, and then he holed that miraculous putt there at the 9th hole. If the putt hadn't hit the hole, Jacklin could have gone way past the hole and maybe even 3-putt. But just now you see him driving on the 10th hole.
It's a 414-yard par 4, one of the most beautiful and treacherous. The water tar is a strong symbol behind it. It's a lovely hole, elevated tee, bending down to a green that borders Lake Hazeltine, and Jacklin is in the right rough. Tony Jacklin, the leader by 4 strokes. He has led all the way after the first round by 2, after the second round by 3 shots, and after yesterday's third by 4. You're watching ABC's exclusive color coverage of the final round of the 1970 United States Open. We'll return after this brief message.
And that was Bob Charles on the 16th hole, getting only the 2nd birdie of the day to go 3 under par for the round. And here it is on tape by Bob Charles. Of course, that puts him 5 under for the round. A very fine 25-footer by Bob Charles, who's one of the finest putters on the tour. And that puts him 1 under, 1 over, that is, for the tournament. And if he pars in here, he could tie the record. Bob Charles. A left-hander, probably the finest left-hander, certainly in golf today, perhaps ever. And now let's go to the 10th fairway.
And the 10th fairway, the picturesque par 4 hole, is being played by Tony Jacklin, the British Open champion, man who is leading our own championship by 4 shots as a result of his second birdie of the day, the second coming at the 9th hole, Byron.
Yes, well, you know, he's playing downhill and downwind, so unless he has a real bad lie, and it appears his ball's lying all right, he will not, yes, you can see there, he doesn't have not much problem, probably about a 7 or 8 iron to this green. He really hit through that one real good. The only thing he has to worry about is going too far left.
There's a trailing wind, Byron, coming sort of out of the west here in the rolling farm country of Minnesota. It is on the green. Looks like about a 10-foot putt for the leader, Tony Jacklin. Jacklin playing with Gay Brewer of Dallas, Texas, and Brewer at this moment is 3 over for the championship, being 2 over par on the front 9 today. There's Gay. So, as you can see, Gay Brewer will putt first at the 10th green, the par 4 10th, 414 yards long. And, of course, the battle is going on here, Byron, for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, rather strong.
Yes, it really is. Of course, you have 3 wonderful players there battling it out, Dave Hill and Bob Lund and Bob Charles at this time, being all I'm chasing, of course, Tony Jacklin, and that great birdie that he made there at the 9th hole really started him off.
And Lund has just picked up another birdie. He is 3 under on today's round. He is even for the championship, or 5 shots away from the leader. Tony Jacklin moving on the 10th green today without a sweater, as the temperature is up over the previous days. As we look at 2 years ago, the United States Open champion, Lee Trevino, who is playing with John Mahaffey today, a University of Houston amateur, who is battling for the top spot among the Simon Pures here.
Because I've lived in them all my life.
Lee is always, you can hear him talking, he's always chattering.
That's why I'm dark complected.
He talks to the gallery, talks to himself, talks to his caddy. He really does get a lot of fun out of playing golf, and he plays a very good game, wins over $100,000 every year like breaking sticks. .433-yard hole, very difficult par 4.
We are in trouble.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody looser than Lee Trevino on the practice tee this morning.
No, he stays that way, Chris, and he pulled that ball a little bit to the left. It looks as though it could be in a little bit of trouble on the left-hand side of the fairway.
Trevino, who had an opening day round of 77, second round 73, and a third round 74 here at Hazeltine. And the low amateur, John Mahaffey from Kerrville, Texas.
Straighten up, ball.
He made a good pass at that. I heard him say, straighten up, ball. And it is along the left-hand side. It's the shortest way to this green, though. If you go too far to the right, you have a difficult job of reaching this green with an iron. You may have to take a wood on your second shot.
Let's take a look at the amateur's swing, Byron.
All right. I can see right away he has a wonderful straight left arm. Look from the shoulder down the club, down the hands, and down the shaft of the club. And he goes back, the hands real high, and then he makes a very fast move with his left side coming through. That wasn't very slow at the finish, but he really swung. Look how high and long he finished through.
And now at the 10th hole, Gay Brewer for a birdie 3. 3 over for the championship, and if he can make that putt, he will remain at 3 over par. This course plays to par 72, 7,151 yards long, second longest used in the Open Championship, and this is the 70th time that it has been contested.
Gay's having a good tournament. Gay has kind of been off his game recently, but he's seemed to have found it and playing quite well here on this real difficult course. You can well imagine how badly Tony would like to get this second birdie in a row and regain a little more lead. 4 shots is quite a lot, but anything can happen on this golf course, or any course as far as that's concerned, in this great, difficult, tough championship to win. a birdie. Tony stays very still as he putts, keeps his body in a nice free position, but doesn't move it at all.
Back-to-back birdies, making the turn with one at 9, starting the back 9, Byron, with his third birdie of the afternoon, and he wants this title.
Looks like he's well on his way. You make 2 bogeys in a row and might shake you up a little bit, but that certainly settles you down to make 2 birdies following the 2 bogeys.
And now Gabe Brewer, an important putt for his par 4 at the 10th hole, giving you bonus coverage today of action at 9 and 10. And then again, we'll pick them up at the 12th hole all the way home, reaching the decision for the national championship. Brewer had 2 under par rounds, 71 on the second and third rounds.
Oh, those really hurt, Chris, at this stage of the game, especially.
So that puts him 4 over par. He is 3 over for his round today. Not a pleasant round for the likable Kentuckian, now playing out of Dallas.
No, Chris, he seemed to be a little uneasy on the putt. You notice he was setting and backed away from him. He seemed to be a little uneasy about the putt before he hit it. You can almost read these things when you know these golfers real well.
Byron, the finishing holes here that you'll be seeing live and in color with our 22 ABC cameras are very interesting. So right now, let's join Jim McKay at 12.
6 yards in length, deceptively difficult. When they played the Minnesota Golf Classic here a couple of years ago, it turned out to be the second most difficult hole on the golf course. In part due to those fairway bunkers on the right-hand side, they could easily come into play today because with the pin placement, you want to keep your tee shot somewhat on the right-hand side of the fairway. That's because the pin today is on the rear left of the green. There's also water on the right-hand side that normally does not come into play, although just yesterday, the leader in the tournament, Tony Jacklin, almost went into it with his second shot. I'm Jim McKay, and I'll be covering not only the 12th hole, but also the 13th, which is a hole of a very different nature. It's a par 3, 172 yards in length. Here it is. The problem here is that water on the left, anything hit to the left of the green almost certainly will kick down a hill and into the water. On now to the 14th hole, and our colleague from across the sea, Henry Longhurst.
I'm more normally with the BBC in London, Henry Longhurst, and I can tell you that they're going to take this live via the satellite at 5 o'clock this afternoon, which will be 11 o'clock at home, and I can tell you that millions of them will be sitting up, waiting to see how their man's doing. And here's the model of the 14th. You have to avoid those big trees on the right, open up the hole by going to the left. The flag is about on the right-hand side today. Very good, par 4, 355 yards, and we go to Bud Palmer.
Well, that's not me, but that's Dave Marr, the former PGA champion. He'll be commentating on the 15th. Dave made the cut here. He's still out on the Hazeltine course, playing his final round. And, of course, we all hope here at ABC that Dave is doing extremely well. But here's a model of the 15th. It's 592 yards long, the longest hole on the course. And you can see it's heavily protected by trees on the right and traps, and the green is also heavily trapped, too. But I'll actually be covering the par 3 16th, 214 yards long, and in the first 3 rounds, there have only been 16 birdies on this hole. Extremely difficult. It's very heavily trapped. Lake Hazeltine is in the background, and you have trees that definitely come into play, especially where the pin position is today. Now, there's the tee, and today with the pin tucked into the back, you have to come around that big cottonwood tree if you want to get close. A very difficult hole. Now to Bill Fleming.
At the 17th, Orville Moody, the U.S. Open champion, the defending champion, will long remember what he did. He got a 7, a triple bogey, and it meant that he did not make the cut. It's a deceptively hard hole. It's only 344 yards, par 4, but the tee shot must be accurate. It must come off a little dog leg there to the right, hit in the saddle, only 20 yards wide in the target area, then a relatively easy 9-iron to the green, but water on the right, water on the left. This will be a tough one. Now to Chris and Byron.
Byron, there's not quite as much deception on the 18th, the home hole, but it is a tough one.
Well, there's some deception because you really can't see the fairway very well off of the tee. It's somewhat hidden, and as you can see here in the whole model is a very good description. You can see the tee there, and the drive must stop about in this area here. you try to miss the bunkers and the long rough that's on the left-hand side. Today, against the wind, the players will be going with a wooden club or long iron to this green that's elevated, sits up on top of the hill right in beside the clubhouse. It's a very tough finishing hole.
The final hole, the 72nd hole. Now let's go back out for more golf action.
Well, right now we're at the 12th hole where Bob Lunn, who is making a belated charge, has a problem at the moment. Bob hit his second shot to the left of the green on this long 426-yard par 4 hole. He's playing very well, as I said, made the turn in 34 strokes, 2 under par. Birdied the 11th hole, the one just previous to this, so he's 3 under on today's round, in 3rd place in the tournament. However, 7 shots off the lead. Bob Lunn first came to prominence back in 1963 as a United States Public Links champion. He was a teenager then from Sacramento, and the championship was played in his hometown. He came out there. He was just a kid, didn't even have a pair of golf shoes, appeared in tennis shoes. Some action up with Bill Fleming at 17. Bill?
Bob Charles is getting ready for a par 4 here, this putt. His birdie string has been broken, but if he pars out, he would tie the course record. If he could birdie 18, he would break it. He gets the par 4 at 17, and Bob Charles remains 1 over par for the championship, 7 strokes behind the leader, Tony Jacklin, with 1 hole to go and a possible course record. Chris?
And right now, in one of the 3 bunkers along the 18th green, and for John Mahaffey, the 72nd hole, this is his 3rd stroke on the par 4 18th. He and Crenshaw are tied for low amateur at 13 over. He needs to hold this, Byron, to be low.
Well, he played a great one.
Didn't he?
He really did. A marvelous shot from there. A long bunker shot of where the pin's clear across the green. It's a very tough shot to judge how hard to hit it. He did that very, very excellently.
So if he can make that short putt, it'll put him in at 13 over, as the same is true of 18-year-old Ben Crenshaw, who is about to go to the University of Texas, and John Mahaffey represents the University of Houston on their excellent golf team. And Lee Trevino is 6 over for the championship. More about that later. Right now, Jim McKay.
And Bob Lunn, who got a free drop because of a ground under repair area here, is about to play that 3rd shot on the par 4 hole. He has plenty of room to maneuver when he gets on the putting surface. There it is. Fine shot by Bob Lunn, who's 3 under on today's round, 1 over for the tournament, and in 3rd place. He needs a short putt of about 2 feet now for his par 4 on the 12th hole. Big Bob Lunn. For a while, he had the longest sideburns on the tour, but there's so much competition for that title now that there's no telling who it is. Playing with him is the former United States Open champion, Gene Littler. Gene started the day 4 over. He's now 6 over, having his problems. He made the turn in 38. That's 2 over par. Now back to you again at 18, Chris.
Well, we just had a great bow from our friend Byron Lee Trevino, who made his par 4. He has finished the championship at 6 over. And now, to be tied for low amateur, John Mahaffey needs this putt for his par 4. There you have it. 2 youngsters coming out of the great state of Texas, Byron, are tied for the amateur top spot. Mahaffey and Ben Crenshaw. He is only 18 years old, Crenshaw, and you're going to see him now on videotape. And what a future's ahead of this young man, Byron.
Yes, he has a marvelous swing and a good attitude. I really would hate to hazard a guess as how good that this boy could be, because he has tremendous poise for a young man 18 years old, and an excellent way of playing. Being taught by that great teacher, Harvey Penick, at Austin, Texas.
He's on the 15th green in this videotape presentation. And 2 putts there on this par 5, 592-yard hole.
Very popular here at the 18th hole quite a while ago. When he finished, why, he got a hand like Arnold Palmer gets.
Incidentally, Arnold Palmer finished at 17 over par. So Crenshaw and Mahaffey have beaten Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer. Nicklaus in at 16 over, Player in at 14 over. All right, now let's go out 13. Here's Jim McKay.
Okay, Bob Lund got his par 4 and did it very nicely on the 12th hole. Now we look at the 13th, 172 yards long. You're looking from the green back at the tee, a par 3 hole, and remember that to the golfer's left as he hits, there is a big pond. If he hits at all to the left of the green, he will in all probability kick down a hill and into the water. And with the pin placement as you saw it today, that is a very real problem. Gene Littler, 6 over for the tournament, birdied the 12th hole and went back to 5. Gene had a tremendous approach shot on the 12th and just about a 3-foot putt for the birdie. This hole was designed for a 6-iron to be used, and I should think that's probably what they're using today with a slight breeze at their back. What do you think, Byron?
I imagine so. I would say 5 or 6-iron, and Bob's a strong hitter, I'm sure he'd be using 6-iron. Littler will probably use a 5.
Okay, well, there is Gene Littler, hitting probably a 5-iron and looking a bit unhappy about it. And back to Bob Lund we go. Lund, a big, strong hitter. Now at even par. Remember, he's in 3rd place. Gene Littler's ball in the middle of the green, as you saw. It shouldn't have chagrined him too much, but he wasn't happy about it, as you saw. And Bob Lund avidly follows the progress of his ball, which, as you see, is on the putting surface, but he's going to have a long attempt for birdie 2. Now here is Dave Hill on the 12th fairway, about to hit his approach shot to this difficult par 4. Hill, remember, is playing even par for the day. He's 5 shots off the lead, 1 under for the tournament. He's on the green, on the backside, and just rolls off the putting surface by about 3 or 4, 5 inches. Back to you, Chris.
Bob Charles on the par 4 18th, about to hit his 2nd shot. It's on its way. It's off to the golfer's right of the flag. It is short, but in the taller grass.
Yes, it's going to leave Bob quite a difficult shot to try to save a par that would tie him for the course record of 67.
And you see Tony Jacklin with a 5-shot lead for the national championship as the 1970 United States Open from Hazeltine National Golf Club in Chaska, Minnesota continues in a minute.
Well, we have a moment here. How about a little USGA quiz? How many dimples are there on a golf ball? Well, while you're thinking about the answer, we'll tell you some things about golf balls that are found in the USGA's rules of golf. The weight of the ball shall not exceed 1.62 ounces. The diameter shall not be less than 1.68 inches. And when tested on the USGA's apparatus, the initial velocity shall not exceed 250 feet per second. And why? Well, because without these controls, the golf ball could be made so lively that our courses will become obsolete. Bob Charles, 3rd shot on 18. Controlling the distance factor of golf balls is just one of the functions of the USGA, and Bob has hit a beauty. Some of the others are the handicap system, writing and interpreting the rules of golf, administering a green section service that helps develop better grass for golf courses, and of course the USGA conducts 9 national championships ranging from the Open to a championship for boys and girls under 18. And now for the answer to the quiz, a golf ball has 336 dimples to control the flight of the ball. Without them, the ball would behave very erratically. Dave Hill now on the 12th hole. Remember, he's chasing Tony Jacklin unsuccessfully at the moment. 5 shots behind him. Hill is even par for the round today. That will not be good enough, almost certainly. There's Bob Lund putting for a par on 13, and that's not an easy putt. He makes it, however, gets his par, and remains at even par in 3rd place. Dave Hill, being off the putting surface on 12, has the option of leaving the flagstick in the hole or having it removed. If he thinks it'll help him at all, if his ball might hit it and then drop instead of going by, he can leave it in. But he's having it tended by the caddy, it appears, which means that the caddy will lift it as soon as Dave makes the putting stroke. This is for a birdie 3. Pin is lifted. And it just broke a little too much to the right. And as soon as they get past that hole, coming almost any direction, they skid almost certainly a couple of feet past. That is not a tap-in. Back to you now, Chris.
Bob Charles, this putt to tie the course record of 67. make him the leader in the clubhouse at 1 over par. There it is. Former British Open champion Bob Charles with a neat round of 67, 5 under par, here on a breezy, sunshiny afternoon.
Chris, that was a wonderful third that he played.
Now back to Jim McKay.
Two-time British Open champion Julius Boros is playing with Dave Hill, and here he is. He has a lengthy, tricky putt that's going to have a fairly big break to it. He comes up over a little hummock that stretches across the screen for a birdie 3. An insect bothers Julius, but not very much. He serenely steps back and steps back yet again. The United States Open Championship on this hole has come to a halt, for a moment at least, for an insect about the size of your fingernail. Now Julius, who started out the day 2 over, is now 4 over and dropping back into the pack just a bit. He could use this. Ooh, that's a pretty far pass. See the way they roll on by. He's going to have a tough 5-footer coming back. While Dave Hill does a little house cleaning, you can pick up any loose impediment, as it's called, in the path, the projected path of your next putt. That means anything that's not attached to the ground. You cannot, however, fix a spike mark, for example. You can fix a ball mark. It's the only kind of a mark you can fix. But he was picking up little loose growing things while Julius Boros gets ready for his putt that's needed for a par 4. So the two-time Open champion has made his par 4 on the 12th hole. Now Dave Hill, needing this for a par, and it's essential that he make this to stay 5 shots back of Tony Jacklin. Jacklin is in no danger, it appears, of beating the all-time record for largest margin of victory. That was an 11-shot victory by Willie Smith in 1899, and then second longest was Long Jim Barnes back in the early 20s, won by 9 strokes. Now, on the right of your screen, there's Ken Still putting for a par on the 14th hole, and he's gotten into this thing. He's 2 over for the tournament and 2 under on the day's round. On the left, you have Dave Hill trying to remain 1 under for the tournament, 5 shots back. Hill decides to step away again. He doesn't do that too often. Again, it's Still on the right, and he putts. Kenny Still for a par, and he does not make it. It's going to cost him a stroke in this competition. And now Dave Hill on the left, dominating the screen now for a par. He's got it. He remains 1 under for the tournament, even on today's round, and 5 shots behind the leader, Tony Jacklin of England. What a story this is going to be in the British Isles if Tony Jacklin wins it. The first Englishman in half a century to do so. They'll be watching live on the satellite over there, and here you have a look from our crane camera about 150 feet overhead of the fairway, and trotting that fairway is Tony Jacklin. As we said, this will be on the satellite in England. People will be staying up past midnight to watch it, and I would doubt very much that anybody will go to bed. He is the current British Open champion and can be one of the few men to win both the British Open and our Open Championship in a lifetime. Only 10 men have done it, in fact. Tony walking back and forth, surveying the situation, and thinking he's only got so many to go. We can just par it in from here. Men who have won both the USGA Open and the British Open were Ted Ray of England, Harry Varden, another Englishman, so 2 Englishmen have done it. Then Jim Barnes, Walter Hagen, Bobby Jones, Tommy Armour, Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. What a wonderfully select company Tony Jacklin can join today if he wins it. This 12th hole, remember, 426 yards, par 4. He is in good position to hit into the flagstick. Tony Jacklin, 25 years old. He'll be 26 next month. His father, a lorry driver in Lincolnshire, England. He is not of the landed gentry, not a a young lord who tread the links for laughs. Took up this game as a youngster when he caddied for his dad. What a success he's making of it. Probably a 4 or 5 iron from there. He said he had a good angle to come into this flagstick on the left rear of the green. And he's got a good shot on the putting surface, a little bit short. And if that had come about 2 feet more, it might have trickled down that hill. Dave Hill now in the 13th. This is the par 3 hole, remember, 172 yards. Hill trailing by 5 shots. The controversial golfer who said some nasty things about this golf course the other day and could find $150 for it. And he's got a fine shot. He's going to have a pop at a birdie there. Going to have about an 8 or 9 footer for a birdie on the 13th. And we'll return to the Hazeltine National Golf Club, site of this year's U.S. Open Championship, in just a minute. Here's slow motion now of Dave Hill's fine tee shot on the 13th hole. Byron, would you describe this for us?
Yes, and watch he breaks the rather quickly because this is a medium iron. He gets his hands up real quickly so he can hit down and through the ball. If he brought the club low, why, he wouldn't be able to do this. He brought his hands up quickly. His left side is nice and relaxed from this position. Now he'll move through the ball and get his left side out of the way so he can really notice how straight his left arm, the hands, and how fast they're moving through the ball right in this area, which drives the ball straight on the line and straight out to the hole, as you saw such a marvelous shot. And a very high finish because his hands were nice and high on the backswing.
So that's how it's done on a 172-yard par 3 hole, as exemplified by Dave Hill. There's action now on 14. Let's go to Dave Marr.
I think that Bob Lund there just made a little putt after he came out of the trap. A very nice par 4. Back to Jim McKay now.
Okay, we're on the 13th green again. This is the same par 3 where you saw a slow motion of Dave Hill's tee shot. Now you'll see once again where that shot went, right there, leaving him a good opportunity for a birdie 2. He's going to have to pick up several birdies on the way in to have a chance to catch Tony Jacklin. Jacklin's been like the Rock of Gibraltar all through this tournament. Dave Hill has not exactly shaken at any time. After a first round of 75, Dave came back with 69, 71, and he's even par on today's round. This could put him 1 under and 4 shots out of the lead. Dave plays out of Evergreen, Colorado. He's actually a Michigander from Jackson, Michigan originally. So he said this would put him 1 under on today's round and 2 under for the tournament. Nope. So it'll be a par for him. And now Tony Jacklin back on the 12th green. This putt also for a birdie. This comes along the side of that hummock, or kind of quarters across it. Now it should break down, and it does, and he's left himself, well, not too much of a putt, but he'll have to make sure of it for a par 4. He was not happy with that, however. It didn't look like he had quite the concentration that he's had all through the tournament on his putts. Some of the other players were sitting in the press tent yesterday watching him come in on television, and they just marveled at the putting stroke that he has. Bring it back just absolutely straight along the ground. He needs this for a par 4 now on the 12th hole. He'll have 6 to go after this. This is where the tense agony really begins. Tony makes no secret of the fact that he gets nervous on this golf course. Who wouldn't? Makes his par 4, however, as he's done so many times. Remains 6 under for the tournament and with a 5-shot lead over Dave Hill. Now again to Dave Marr.
This is Bob Lund at the 15th tee. He's one of our real fine young players. Looks like he must have hit a pretty good drive the way he's looking at it. Bob is even for the tournament. This is a par 5, 592 yards long. There's no chance to reach the hole, but it is a birdieable hole. Bob is right in the middle of the fairway. Very fine drive. And we'll just take a look at a slow motion of Bob's swing. He's got a little bit of a loop in the top, but he makes a good takeaway from the ball. Big full turn now. You just saw his hands loop, but they go back down inside the line again. He moves back to his left side and through the ball. Very good position at impact with a very high finish, very strong finish. Bob's a very big guy, and he can really move it. Very fine young player. And now to Henry Longhurst at 14.
And here for the first time, it's the 14th hole. Very delicate par 4, 355 yards. They often lay up the tee shot rather to the left of the fairway with an iron or a 3-wood, and that gives them an opening to the green where the flag is placed on the right-hand side. Bob Lunn. I'm sorry, Dave Hill. He started 1 under. He's still 1 under.
Oh, not there, Dave. Oh, again. Still, yet.
And that must be in the left rough, I think. Can't see it. Can't see it on the fairway. It's rough on his left. We go back to Jim McKay.
We're coming again to the 13th tee, now with the leader, Tony Jacklin. His playing partner is Gabe Brewer, the former Masters champion. Here's Jacklin, reigning British Open king, and perhaps about to add the United States Open to his list of titles. 172 yards, once again, a par 3 hole you don't want to kick left. Again, probably a 6 iron. Looks like it could even be a little more lofted than that. There you see his reaction to the flight of the ball so far. It's okay. Actually off on the right-hand side of the green, I believe. On the back edge. He's going to have a long, long putt. He'll be very happy to make 3 on this hole. This is the 13th, remember. Ball on the rear of this 13th green. There you see it, off on the right rear, just off the putting surface. Again, he'll have the option of leading the flagstick in if he wants to. There you see how they stand, and there's more final round action coming up as ABC's exclusive coverage of the 70th U.S. Open continues in just a minute.
Now we wait behind the 14th green to see Dave Hill's second shot, which is a very good one indeed, considering he was just in the rough. Very easy to bounce over the plateau green when you're playing out of the rough, but he's left himself a putt of 25 feet, level with the flag, an exceptionally good second shot. That's Dave Hill. We'll go back to Jim McKay.
Thank you, Henry. There is Tony Jacklin. You know, he's led this tournament ever since the first round, and somewhat surprisingly, only 3 men in the history of the Open have led from wire to wire. Some have been tied for the lead, at least, on each round. But only Walter Hagen in 1914, Jim Barnes in 1921, and Ben Hogan in 1953 led after every round. Jacklin can be the 4th. He also can be only the 2nd man to have 4 subpar rounds. Have all 4 rounds of the tournament under par. And who was the first? Was it Bobby Jones or Ben Hogan or Byron Nelson? No, it was Lee Trevino 2 years ago at Rochester. Tony disturbed by some noise back in the crowd. Not by us. We're a couple of 100 yards from there, as a matter of fact, if you're wondering. You can see Tony filling his cheeks with air and then blowing it out. A tension reliever that you and I have used many times. Just off the putting surface, all the way across the green. While we were away, I was talking to Dave Marr, and he was pointing out very accurately that he probably played it to the right side of the green, because anything is preferable here to going to the left and in the water when you have a 5-shot lead. There's the long ride for the ball on the 13th green. And he leaves himself that one for a par. He's done that so many times the last 2 days, and I can't remember one of these that he's missed up to here. Jacklin taking a look in the sky. Will mark his ball. He's playing with Gay Brewer, as we said. Gay started out today just 1 over par and in contention, but he's now 5 over for the tournament, 4 over in today's round. Gay has not played well for the past couple of years, actually, but suddenly he put his game together again this week with rounds of 75, then 71-71. Remember, par for this course is 72, and it's the first time in about 17 years, I think, that the Open has been played on a par 72 golf course. Of recent years, it's been those long par 70s, like Baltusrol and Oak Hill and Rochester. Champions in Houston. Gay Brewer also with a very long approach putt. And he's left himself a most difficult one for the par 3. Gay not happy at all with his putting, and that's been his big problem while he has been laboring in the nether world of the golf tour. Now again to Henry Longhurst.
Here's the 14th. Dave Hill, about 25 feet. This for an off chance of a birdie, but it's a very difficult green. This would be what the old Scots golfers called a long steal, if he could get it. Don't think it's going to reach the hole. No, it hasn't reached the hole. It's pretty well dead, but it never looked like getting there. Par 4, 14th for Dave Hill, and he stays 1 under as he started. 5 behind at this point. And now we're back to Jim McKay.
Again, thank you, Henry, as we return to the 13th and Gay Brewer's putt for a par 3, which he makes to remain 5 over for the tournament. The leaders, remember, are Tony Jacklin, then Dave Hill 5 shots back, Bob Lund 6 shots back, Bob Charles, who has finished at 7 shots back. Charles tied the course record with a 67 today. He's the leader in the clubhouse. Subpar rounds today. There's been his 67. Bobby Mitchell had a 69. Paul Harney 70. Bob Erickson 70. Frank Beard 70. Tony Jacklin here is 1 under in today's round. If he pars in from here, he'll have 71. But he needs this putt for a par in the 13th hole. He's got it, just as he's been all through the tournament. To you, Dave Marr.
Thank you, Jim. This is Dave Hill at the 15th, a long par 5, 592 yards. I'm sure Dave will really be letting out on this one. Looks like a pretty good swing. He's just perfect, right in the right side of the golfer's right side of the fairway. No chance to reach the green in 2, as I said before, but it's a good chance for a birdie. If he's going to close the gap on Tony at all, he's going to have to start making some sort of move. This is a fairly straightaway hole. It's just a little slight dogleg from right to left, and it's, as I said before, it's over almost 600 yards long, and players with 2 good shots can get up within about 95, 90 yards of the green, playing it to about a triple level green. It's pretty tricky to get the ball very close. And now back to Henry at 14T.
There's Tony Jacklin on the 14th. Selecting, we'll see, either an iron or a light wood, an iron. He's going to play down the left-hand side of the fairway to try to open up the hole. 355 yards, a very nice par 4. Flag on the right-hand side as he plays it. So he wants to go down the left, but without getting as far as the rough. Tony Jacklin leading still 6 under against Dave Hill's 1 under. Tony Jacklin. They all seem very satisfied with that one. We wait for it to come. There it is, right down the middle left-hand side of the fairway, exactly where it should be. Jacklin playing with great confidence and aplomb, I think is the word, at this supreme moment of his golfing life. Now we go to Dave Marr.
This is a tape of Bob Lund's putt for a birdie at 15. It looked like he just didn't quite hit it solid enough. He didn't want it to lose it to the left side, and he went ahead and got his par after 3 good shots. 2 nice putts. Leaves him even par for the tournament and tied for, or rather, in 3rd place all alone. As you see, the leaders. Let's go to Chris Schenkel at 18.
All right, thank you, Dave Marr. And incidentally, Dave finished the 72 holes with a round of 74 today. He 11 over for the championship, and of course the first 15 and ties automatically qualify for next year's Open, which will be played at Marion in Pennsylvania. So, Dave, we hope you're there in the 15 or ties. We very likely will be. But at the moment, the British Open champion Tony Jacklin is 6 under par. Dave Hill, even par today at 1 under. And Bob Lund has made a move. He, however, is 6 shots away from the leader. As we look at other scores, those that have finished, Bob Charles is the leader in the clubhouse in a 289 or 1 over. Trevino is 6 over. At 7 over par, Bob Mitchell, Al Balding, John Miller, Joel Goldstrand, a native of Minnesota, as is Howie Johnson from St. Paul, all at 7 over. At 8 over, Paul Harney, Ted Hayes, Bobby Cole, and Randy Wolf. 9 over par, Frank Beard and Bert Yancey. At 10 over, Dan Sykes. 11 over par, Tom Weiskopf, George Archer, Kel Nagel, Bucky Henry, Dave Marr, and Bruce Campton. More on the scores later. Right now, back out on the course.
That was Julius Boris, as I'm sure you know, at the 15th hole. Hit a nice second shot just around the trap that's about 100 yards from the green. Real good shot. He'll have a good angle to come into the flag. Dave Hill getting ready to play his now. He let it go a little bit to the right, to the golfer's right. But he carried over the trap, and he's in the tall rough, but he's got a good angle and not really too hard a shot. As a matter of fact, being in a tall grass might help him a little because the flag is set back on the green a little bit, and he'll need it to run up on the back part of the green where the flag is. As you can see there, the lighter part is the front, and if he hits there and stops, but being in the tall grass, it should help him run up by the flag. And now to Henry Longhurst at 14.
And there's the model of the hole, and it's Brewer's marker on the right, so that you can see that Jacklin, the one on the left, is better placed to attack the flag, which is on the right of the green. Both very good tee shots, both played with an iron. 355 yards in all. Now we look back, and you can see from the position of the flag that it's an advantage to be to our right, their left, as we look at it. There's Jacklin playing first. And he's played conservatively to the left of the flag, the open part of the green. A very good shot, but it comes back, shows how well it was hit, but it leaves him a long 40 or 45 footer. You want to get down in 2 from there for par. If he can par the 5 holes remaining to him, he will have been under par for every round in the championship. And I doubt whether there were a dozen rounds under par altogether. Gabe Brewer now, more difficult line of approach. He's got to go over the big bunker, guarding the flag. And there's the most beautiful shot, one of the best, in fact the best, that we've seen here today by Gabe Brewer. A little too late now, though. 5 over, starting only 1 over. And now we go ahead to the 15th.
You see Julius Boris will be the first to play. He's walking up to his ball now. Dave Hill on the left side of your screen. He's fairly near his ball now. Yeah, he's found it. But it shouldn't be too hard a shot for Dave from there. It's only about 90 yards, I'd say, from the flag, and he'll walk all the way up to the green, have a look at it. At this point, he's got to perform a couple of miracles. It doesn't seem like Tony is letting go very much. As Henry mentioned, if Tony pars in, that'll be 4 rounds under par. That's just terrific playing, just sensational the way this course is played. Julius Boris getting ready to hit his 3rd shot. You see Julius do that, you know he let it go a little to the right and it bounces over the green into the sand trap. And he's not too happy, but Julius is an exceptionally fine trap player. Dave's walking all the way up to the green, as I said before. Just to check and see where the flag is, how much room he has. Of course, the kind of lie he has in the rough, too, might dictate what sort of shot he's going to try to play. But he's got to get the ball up on this part of the green. You can see the little hill he walks up now. He's got to get back over that hill. Let's go to Bud Palmer at 16.
Right you are, David. We have Bob Lunn on the tee. Gene Littler's already hit. There's Bob. And what are they using here today, Dave, do you think?
Well, I'd say that Bob, he's a pretty long hitter. He's probably got about a 3-iron. There's not too much wind now.
He's hitting it right at the flag. He yells hook. That's what he needs, wants to draw it in a little bit. And he comes off that mound on this very deceptive green, left himself about, a 30 to 35-foot putt. Henry, let's go back to you on 14.
And here on the 14th green, on the right, Tony Jacklin looking at a putt hole, at least 45, might be 50 feet. A very difficult one indeed. He's got to come up over a sort of dome-like structure and then stop by the flag. He's been attacked by a hostile something or other. Not a moment when you want to be put off by anybody or anything. Jacklin, 6 under, 1 under for today. 6 under, 5 ahead, and 5 to play. Oh, that's a very, very good putt at a moment like this, and he'll look at that one with great relief. A noble putt. And I believe that you're joining us in Britain. Here's Tony Jacklin. What you want to know is not anything from me, except that Tony Jacklin is now 6 under, and his nearest rival is 1 under. He's 5 ahead now, with 4 to play. This is the 14th green. And if he can make par for the last 4 holes, he'll finish under par for every one. And here, for our friends in Britain who are staying up, I'm sure in millions for this, here it is. That's the news you've been waiting for. Tony Jacklin, 6 under. Dave Hill just in front of him, playing the 15th now, 1 under. And now we go to Dave Marr, and this is the 15th.
This is a tape of Dave Hill's 3rd shot to 15. He hit it a little bit to the right, but he did get it back on the back part of the green. He's just in the fringe, actually, a little bit. Had a fairly long putt to make, but he had to get it up over that rise, as I mentioned before. Where Boris is standing is about where the rise starts in the 2nd level of the green. It's a makeable putt, but don't make too many of these at this time in your life. And now we're back live with Dave looking at his putt, talking to his caddy. Boris played out of the trap about 3 feet past the flag with a very nice shot. For those that saw him knock it in the trap earlier. This is a very long hole, 15. It's 592 yards, and it's just unreachable in 2 shots. There's only been 15 birdies made here today. Dave's putt should break a little from left to right. Dave Hill to go 2 under for the tournament. Just a little short. Good putt, nevertheless. Easy 5, and now to Bud Palmer at 16.
And we're looking at Julius Boris. Now we go to Bob Lund. He has a putt of about 30 to 35 feet, which will break to the right. Extremely difficult par 3 here. And there you almost see the third birdie of the day. We've only had 2 so far by Bob Erickson and Bob Charles, former British Open winner, here all day long. So that tells you how difficult the 214-yard par 3 is. Now to Dave.
Tony Jacklin at 15. 5-shot lead. Must be a good drive. Nice hand from the people. Right down the middle of the fairway. Very fine drive. If Tony can just keep from fainting, just get in with some pars, he'll be our Open champion. I just think that's great. His countrymen should be very proud of him. He's a great guy and a fine golfer. Gabe Brewer on the tee now, former Masters champion. Not too good today, but playing well this tournament. Just rolling in the right rough just a little, but he won't be in too bad a shape. The rough's not very long there, and he'll be able to play a wood out of there, I'm sure, to this very long hole. And let's go to Bill Fleming at 17.
All right, this 17th hole is 344 yards long, a par 4, and not a very long hole, but it has taken its toll in this 70th United States Golf Association Open Championship. There you can see it from the green. It's a rather severe dogleg to the right, and this little valley in here separates 2 ponds. The tree on the right side of the fairway is about 125 yards from the flagstick, and there's kind of a saddle in there, the target area off the tee. So most of the golfers are using a 2-iron to put it right in that saddle area. And I rather imagine that Bob Lund might even have a 3-iron here. Dave, you could probably judge that better than I.
Well, he's a long hitter.
That crowd would be quiet over there today.
Something must have
Something
bothered
distracted
Robert a little bit.
He said, "Would you please be quiet while I'm hitting?" The ball went over into the left rough. You can see the caddy marker. Not a very good tee shot. Bud Palmer at 16.
Well, on the 16th tee, we have Dave Hill, who's parred this 214-yard par 3 in the first 3 rounds of 75, 69, and 71. He's flying a shot right at the pin. If it is long enough, he comes up short and Believe bounded into the trap. He's in the sand as Dave Hill on the 16th. He's heading right for the pin, trying to draw it in. And from the Hazeltine National Golf Club in Chaska, Minnesota, you're watching ABC's exclusive color coverage of the U.S. Open. And we'll return with more final round action in a moment. Here's Dave Hill on the 16th. And Byron, how about analyzing this tee shot?
His feet are nice and square. He has a real good position at the ball. His arms are hanging in a very nice free position, Dave Hill at the 16th. Notice he keeps the club very low going back this time, not like he did on the 13th because it's a shorter hole. Hands are nice and high. A very good move back into the left side, right at the top of the swing. His left heel off the ground, then moves down and through. Very strong left side, and his hands are ready to release the power right in the very low part of right at the impact of the swing, which is where they should be. A wonderful swing by Dave Hill.
And you see Gay Brewer and Tony Jacklin walking up the 15th fairway. Their second shots here, both in perfect position, about 90 yards short of the green. They hit 2 real good shots out of Tony out of the fairway and Gay out of the rough. I wonder what's running through Tony's mind now. 5-shot lead, National Open. It's just great. It's not often you get a chance to win a prize like this, and A lot of wonderful players have played the game and never won a major tournament. He's going to be owning 2 of them, it looks like, in the same year, or at least in the same 12-month period. Fifteenth hole. For those of you that don't have color sets, Gabe Brewer has on sort of a purple pair of pants, and Tony has on chartreuse. They look like a direct hit on a pizza factory when they walk together. Tony looking at his shot. Tony will be away, I believe. He's in the center of the fairway. Okay, a little bit on the right side there. You have a view of the 16th hole. Let's go to Bud Palmer at 16.
Right you are, Dave. And here's another Dave, Dave Hill, in the trap here. He has about, 55, 60 feet, I'd say. You can see how low he is. If you explode out, that gives you a good shot of how far he has to go. A little strong. And he rolls it by about 12 feet. And he's going to have a rather difficult putt here because around this pin, it has been most confusing today. It seems reversed one way or the other. The players have been having a very difficult time, and that's the reason we've only seen 2 birdies so far today. That's Dave Hill coming up, who was the Varden Trophy winner last year and won 3 tournaments. Dave Marr, what's going on out there, fella?
Well, Gabe Brewer just hit a great shot in about 6 or 7 feet short of the flag, and he was away. I'd said Tony might be. This is Tony Jacklin getting ready to hit his 3rd shot to the 15th hole. Sure, he'll just hit the best shot he can. It's no time to change your game to lay up or anything. Got a 90-yard shot. Nice swing, and the ball is going to be just a little to the right of the flag. But I'm sure he'll take it. Fantastic. Tony Jacklin, 6 under par. Dave Hill, 1 under par with a putt for a par at the 16th hole. Tony has about a 6 or 7 footer here at 15 to go 7 under for the tournament, and he would have at this point a 6-shot lead. It's just great that if BBC has just joined us, that your countryman is doing so well. He's a great person, a great competitor, and it looks like he's on his way to winning our National Open. You can see he's beginning to smile a little bit, and this is Dave Hill at the 16th hole with his par putt. Let's go to Bud Palmer there at 16.
Right you are. Dave's looking this about 10-footer over for his par, and if he misses it, which he very easily could do because it's extremely difficult green to read, as I mentioned, and Dave does not like this green. He's said so rather firmly over the past 3 days. That would give Tony Jacklin a 6-stroke lead. Looks like the only way we keep the championship in this country is to make Tony Jacklin an instant American citizen. See that curl around, and he goes to even. He says, oh my, because it's so difficult around there. He's playing with Julius Boris, who also had a par, so Dave Hill goes to even, and now trails Tony Jacklin by 6 blows. And for you people in Great Britain who just joined us, this Hazeltine National Golf Club is 7,151 yards long, par is 72, the second longest in USGA history, has 10 dog legs, 101 bunkers. And Bill Fleming, how about the action on your hole?
Well, it could be quite dramatic right here because Bob Lund made a spectacular shot behind the tree, is on the green in 2, and could take over second place if he makes this. This is for a birdie 3 at the par 4 17th. Just about a 3-foot putt right in his own shadow. Oh, too bad. After really a remarkable shot from where he was, you saw him earlier, he takes the par 4, and he and Dave Hill are still 6 strokes behind 25-year-old Tony Jacklin. Dave Marr?
Well, yes, Bill, this is Tony Jacklin. Gabe Brewer's putt slid by a little bit on the left side, and he got his par. Tony's putt here is about 6 or 7 feet long, a little left to right break. Just has to keep it in the hole and hit it solid. I'm sure he hasn't heard yet that he's got another stroke on his lead. Makes this one, will increase it to 7 under for the tournament and a 7-shot lead over Bob Lund and Dave Hill. He's been making most of these this week and just playing tremendously. Tony Jacklin to go 7 under. No, he let it go by, a little on the right. Pushed it. Looks like that's what he said to Gay. Just clean off the ball, see if there's any, picked up any dirt or anything. But he's got a fairly simple little putt. It's just great how well he's played this week. Be a man of all seasons. We've had 4 different days of weather. Today is just beautiful. Tony Jacklin, par 5 at 15. It's great playing, Tony. Just great. There you see the leaders. Tony Jacklin 6 under, Dave Hill and Bob Lund tied for second at even par. Bob Charles had a great 67 today, tied the course record, is in the clubhouse with 1 over, and Ken Still is in 5th place, 3 over through 17 holes. And now, while there's a pause in the action, let us pause briefly for this message.
Young Dave Hill, who is still 6 strokes behind, hitting his second shot on the 17th hole. He had a marvelous tee shot and is only about 110 yards from this green. His playing partner, Julius Boros, has just gone in the water, so he has a real problem. Here comes Hill, who has just bogeyed the 16th and sends it right up toward the flag, and a fine shot. A little bit too much spin that rolls it backward, and he has about a 12 or 14-foot putt for his birdie here at the 17th hole. Back to 16 and Bud Palmer.
On videotape, here is Tony Jacklin's tee shot on the 16th. And Al Geiberger, who is with me, who was second here last year, says he probably used a 2-iron. He hit to the fat part of the green, not going for the flag, since he has a 6-stroke advantage. You can see he's left himself a very long putt for approximately 50 feet. Gabe Brewer is well inside him. Brewer has a putt of about 25 to 30 feet. That shows you this beautiful 214-yard 16th here at Hazeltine. And here comes Tony Jacklin, Gabe Brewer, and the 2 officials with him are Phil Strubing, president of the USGA, and Bob Howes. And the USGA philosophy for an open course is that the tees, fairways, and pin positions are plans that every club in the bag and every shot is used. A few statistics on Tony Jacklin. We went way back on this. I believe he'll be the first Britisher ever to hold both the U.S. title, that is, if he can keep up this 6-stroke lead, it looks like he will, and the British Open at the same time. 2 Britishers have won this. Harry Varden won it in 1900 and Ted Ray in 1920. And only 4 men have held both titles at the same time. They were Ben Hogan in 53, Jones in 26 and 30, Gene Sarrazin in 32, and the latest, Jack Nicklaus, in 1966. As for other scores, we have a chance here as they're striding toward this elevated 16th green with Lake Hazeltine in the background. A leader in the clubhouse who tied the course record, Bob Charles, had a 67 today. He's 289 at +1. At +4 is Miller Barber. 294 +6 Lee Trevino, as Tony Jacklin gets a tremendous hand from the large crowd here. 295, Bobby Mitchell, Joe Goldspan, and Howie Johnson. 296, Paul Harney, John Miller, Al Balding, Bobby Cole, Randy Wolf, and Richard Crawford. And now to Chris Schenkel at 18.
Bob Lund here on the par 4 18th hole, 433 yards long, about to hit his second shot.
Yes, Chris, he drove straight through the fairway with a real long drive, but he's about in the little short rough. probably about a 5-iron to the screen.
Wind starting to pick up a bit. Finds the bunker on the left of the green as the golfer views this elevated putting surface here. He is even par, and he'd like to make a 3 here, Byron, which would put him in second position all alone. At the moment, he is tied for second with Dave Hill at even par, while the leader, Tony Jacklin, at 6 under par. We'll return to 18 in a moment. Right now, Bud Palmer.
And here's Tony Jacklin striding back. You can see he's walking over an undulation there. You might not be able to see it on your camera, but there is a tremendous sort of mound he has to come over, which will move the ball a little bit to the right as it comes over, and then at the green it'll break down, then it breaks again. It's almost a triple break here. It's been hopelessly confusing to the golfers, and that's why we've only seen 2 birdies on this hole today. It's been a good hole for Tony. He bogeyed it on his first round and parred the last 2. From 50 feet. There's one break. I ought to go the other way. Oh, he's left himself. Played it much too much to the right. He's left himself a good 6 to 7 footer. But these are the ones he made yesterday when he had that brilliant 70. I don't think he missed, well, he missed one of these, I believe, in the 18. Now Gay Brewer marking his ball. Gay has a putt of 25 to 30 feet. Bill Fleming on 17.
Right, there's a possibility of a swing of 2 strokes here because Dave Hill is putting for a birdie here at the 17th hole. Should Tony Jacklin wobble a bit at 16 and make a bogey, it would drop the lead to only 4 strokes. And, of course, Jacklin still has to play this, what I'm sure our colleague from across the sea, Henry Longhurst, would call a devilish hole at 17. This is for a birdie. Slightly uphill. He hit it firm enough. It's in. Oh, that was some putt. Only the 9th birdie that we've had here today on the 17th hole, and so Dave Hill rebounds from that bogey at 16, makes the birdie, and drops 1 under par for the championship. And, of course, the possibility that Jacklin could bogey again means that there could be only a 4-stroke difference. Julius Boros, who went in the water, hit his ball from the drop area. He's lying 4. Julius 5 over par for the championship. This is for a bogey 5. Julius Boros, 50 years old, whose son Jay is a freshman at the University of Iowa on the golf team there. Can't beat his dad yet, but he can outdrive him. Here's the putt that Dave Hill may call one of the biggest ones of his career. Bud Palmer, back for your dramatic putt.
Now, here is Tony Jacklin with about an 8-footer. I think he's quite conscious of what Dave Hill did because he's looking through the trees up towards 17. I know he knows that that Dave Hill did pick up a birdie. Now, he needs this for his par. There's the Jacklin putting stroke that's held up so beautifully here through 4 rounds at Hazeltine. Almost straight. Might be a slight break at the cup. Oh, beautiful putt by Tony Jacklin. Very firm. A strong putt. He loved that one. And his lead still remains at 5 blows. Chris Schenkel, what's going on at the 18th tee?
Well, we'll let everybody get a view of this as Dave Hill comes up on this long tee on a dog leg to the golfer's left. 433 yards long. It's a par 4. Dave Hill, 1 under, now all alone in second. He's giving it the good look because the green is obscured.
Yes, and I think what he's thinking, Chris, he knows he needs to try to make another birdie if possible. He's figuring on whether or not he can carry over that corner or over those bunkers that we pointed out earlier in the day. If he can drag it over there, then he'd have a lot shorter iron to this green. And I think he's probably going to take a shot at it.
And it's coming down the fairway, and it is a bit to the right of center. And he's in fine position to come to this elevated green.
Certainly is. We saw Casper make a 3 here just a moment ago from that same position.
A few moments ago, Bob Lund, with his 3rd shot out of the sand here at the 18th green.
Boy, he really stayed down through that shot, Chris, but he didn't hit it quite hard enough. You see the ball's landing very softly.
No, because as a result, he left himself a 25-foot putt, which he failed to hole. And another videotape machine shows you the putt for the par to remain even. Now, after 2 videotape presentations, we are back live and in color. We're using 22 ABC television cameras here at Hazeltine National Golf Club. This is for a bogey 5 for Bob Lund. And it ties him for the lead in the clubhouse with Bob Charles at 1 over par or 289. Incidentally, Gene Littler finished with a par here at the 72nd hole. He is, of course, is a former United States Amateur and Open champion. He is in the clubhouse at 7 over, joining Bob Mitchell, Al Balding, John Miller, Joe Goldstrand, and Howie Johnson. But out on the course, it is Tony Jacklin, honored by the Queen, leading by 5 shots here on the final round of play. Back out to 17, and our colleague Bill Fleming.
All right, Chris, and who knows, maybe Tony, if he wins this, might even be knighted. Here is his tee shot in the center of the fairway. J for Jacklin, B for Brewer. And Tony just played a very cautious 2-iron off the tee. He double bogeyed this hole on the first round of the championship. And as you look at it from behind the green, you can see the kind of a problem that the golfer has. Bob House, who supervises the placement of the pins, put the pin in the most difficult position. There are 4 possible positions, and this is the most difficult today. And there's the ball. Brewer, as you see it first, and then the farthest ball, almost in the center of your screen, belongs to Tony Jacklin. In the second round, he birdied it. He hit a brilliant shot yesterday to save possible bogey. And as you see, the fans in almost a perfect amphitheater here in brilliant sunshine in Chaska, Minnesota, just outside the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Remarkably, on the first day, 69 players failed to break 80 in this tournament. And right now, we have only 2 men under par. Tony Jacklin and his pursuer, Dave Hill. And Tony will come up into the crest of that saddle and look things over. We're very pleased that our good golfing friends in Great Britain have joined us for this final round of the championship. Your hero, and certainly ours, Tony Jacklin, is now on the crest of winning this championship with a possible 4 straight rounds under par. Lee Trevino in 1968 is the only other man ever to do that. Tony, superbly confident during the entire championship. We reminded him that this is the longest day of the year, June 21st, and he said, well, I can tell you this last night was the longest night of my career. He said, I think I aged 20 years yesterday, and he said, I think I'll probably age 20 more today. He's only 25, so he can stand it. Possibly an 8-iron today, and he's coming right up a little on the right side. Fortunately, does not go into the trap. It is just off the putting surface by about a foot, so he can get down in 2 from there, it looks, for his par. Now let's go to Chris Schenkel.
And here is Dave Hill, who at the start of this final round trailed Tony Jacklin by only 4. He trails him now by 5. This is his second shot on the 72nd hole. What iron, Byron?
I would guess he's using a 5-iron from there today because he's going to go right at that flag. He's pulled the ball a little bit, though. As a matter of fact, just off the backside of the green in the long run.
Dave Hill, a very disappointing shot, and also for Dave, a very disappointing final round because he was extremely confident prior to going out today. And here we look at Dave's stroke, and Lord Byron Nelson analyze it.
All right, we'll try to see what make him hook that ball. You notice he broke away a little fast for this long iron, and now then he's a good position at the top of the swing. Now we'll see how he moves to the left side. It should move through. I'm guessing it's going to move a little. See, right at that point, see how he comes up. He came up almost off his left foot there, which meant that the club had to come around with his left side pulled away that far. And there's the position there that caused Davey to pull. See, you can see him blocking against that. That's what caused him to hook that ball.
All right, Pro, thank you very much. Here's another pro in broadcasting, Bill Fleming.
Thank you, Chris, and this great applause from the gallery surrounding the 17th. 21,282 people came to this tournament today. 15,000 on Thursday, 19,000 Friday, 19,000 Saturday, a total of 75,878. And it doesn't look like anyone has left as they are saluting this young man from Great Britain, the British Open champion, who is on the verge of winning the United States Open Golf Championship, the 70th. And if he wins it, I don't know what this converts into pounds, but something like 12,500 pounds, 30,000 American dollars. And now he's surveying what he has to do here. As you can see, he's about 40 feet, maybe a little more than that, from the pin. Tony Jacklin has putter in hand. A record entry list, 3,642 of the best players in the world. And Tony Jacklin can claim the right to be the very best of all of those. If he can just keep it going, he has a 5-stroke lead. It would take almost an utter collapse for him not to win this championship. And those of you at Marion for the 71st U.S. Open, get your orders in for your tickets because Tony will probably be back to defend. Played it just a little bit too much to the left, but as he's been doing during the entire championship, he's been lagging his putts up just with precision that is almost unbelievable, considering the pressure. About a 3-footer. And now Gay Brewer. Gay, who started out today's round 1 over par, is now 5 over par for the championship, so he's 4 over today. But now let's go to you, Chris Schenkel.
Julius Boros has just flipped his 3rd shot about 3 feet from the cup. Meanwhile, Dave Hill, ready to try to run his 3rd shot near that cup or hole it. Of course, he looked up badly on that shot, Byron.
Yes, he hit it very weakly. He didn't hold the club firmly. He let the club just kind of stop in that grass as he hit it. He's kind of laughing to himself for hitting such a it was a very poor shot for Dave.
And, of course, to remain alone in 2nd position.
Yes, he needs to make that.
That's right.
This was a 15 for 2nd and 10 for 3rd and 8,000 for 4th.
That's right.
Means a lot of money. And Dave knows it, and it's put just about straight in, Chris.
Big putt.
Well, actually, he still has pretty free roll at it because he's got 2 putts to...
He would then be tied, right?
Right.
But to... it's about, I'd say, a $5,000 putt, Byron.
Hey, Chris, I was misfiguring there. I was thinking he was.
Were.
Well, that makes Davey 2nd. It's an even par.
That makes him even par with a bogey 5 at the 72nd hole. And despite his comments on the course, the folks here at Hazeltine give him that round of applause. Dave Hill, older of the Hill brothers, who won 3 tour events last year in a matter of 9 weeks. Now to Bill Fleming.
And a little 2.5-foot putt for Tony Jacklin here at the 17th. If he makes this, he would par the hole, and he would have to take an 11 on the last hole to lose the championship, a 10 to tie. And he gulps. So Tony Jacklin gets his par 4. A big smile breaks out on his face. His wife Vivian is here following him in the crowd. His little son Bradley, also is only 7 months old, is being tended by a babysitter today. And now he goes to the 72nd hole of this 70th USGA Open Championship, the 18th hole on the golf course.
What a climax. Tony Jacklin has proven to everyone that he is a champion. With a birdie 3 at the 72nd hole, his round today, 2 birdies and 2 bogeys on the front side, 2 birdies, and 7 straight pars.